Hi, good day. Welcome to Financial Savvy. And I was Zoma. As I sit down here today, I can't help but feel the weight of a topic that's been on everyone's mind. I'm sure many of you have noticed the recent surge in Dangote's petrol prices, and like me, you're probably wondering why. Well, that's exactly what we are going to explore in this video. Before we dive in, let me give you a bit of context. Dangote, a name synonymous with business success in Nigeria, has recently stepped up into a pivotal role in our nation's petroleum industry. The impact of this move has been felt by every Nigerian who's filled up their tank recently. Today, I want to take you on a journey. We will explore the reasons behind these high costs, looking at everything from the global oil markets to local policies. By the end of this video, I hope we will have a clearer understanding of what and why Dangote's petrol is costing us so much and what it means for our future. Let's start by the basics. The Dangote refinery isn't just a business venture, it's a game changer for the Nigerian oil sector. I remember when I first heard about this project, the numbers were just staggering. We are talking about a refinery with the capacity to process about 650,000 barrels of oil a day. Put that into context, that's more than half of Nigeria's current daily oil consumption. The significance of this refinery for domestic fuel production can't be overemphasized. Now, for years, we've faced the ironic situation of being a major oil producer and at the same time relying heavily on imported refined products. I've often wondered as why. I'm sure many of you also have this question. Well, the Dangote refinery promised to change all of that, potentially making Nigeria self-sufficient in refined petroleum products. But as we are seeing right now, this transformation comes with its own set of costs and challenges. What are some of the factors that critically contribute to this high cost? Let's look at the bigger picture. The prices we pay at the pump isn't just determined by what happens within our borders. It's influenced by a complex web of global factors. First, there is the matter of international crude oil prices. I've been keeping a close eye on this lately, and let me tell you something. They've been on a quite high roller coaster. When global crude prices go up, it affects the cost of raw materials that Dangote refinery needs to produce our petrol. Then there is the issue of global supply and demand. It's a delicate balance. Any disruption, be it a simple conflict on an oil-producing region or a surge in demand from an oil major economy, this can lead to ripples through the entire market. What makes our situation in Nigeria particularly interesting is our dual role as both an oil producer and also an oil importer. Now, the operational costs. Let's talk about the nitty-gritty of running a refinery. The Dangote refinery didn't come cheap. We are looking at an initial investment of billions of dollars. That's not pocket change, not even for someone like Aliko Dangote. But the costs don't just stop once the refinery is built. There are ongoing operational expenses to consider, from maintenance of high-tech equipment to the salaries of skilled workers. Running a refinery is a costly business. One of the biggest expenses is crude oil procurement. Yes. Even though we produce oil in Nigeria, the refinery still needs to buy this crude oil at international market prices. I've often wondered why can't we just use our own oil at a discount, but it's not that simple. The global market dictates these prices and even domestic refineries have to play by these rules. Then there is the refining process itself. It's a complex energy intensive operation that requires cutting edge technology. All of this adds to the final cost of the product we put into our cars. Now, government policies and regulations. Now, this is where things really get interesting. You know that government policies play a huge role in determining the price we pay at the pump. Did you know that? For years, fuel subsidies have been a hot topic in Nigeria, and I remember times when these subsidies kept fuel prices artificially at low. But they also placed a massive burden on our national budget. The recent phasing out of these subsidies has definitely contributed to the higher prices we are seeing today. Another factor that keeps me up at night is the impact of foreign exchange rates. A lot of equipment and expertise is needed to run refineries. Actually, they come from abroad. When our naira weakens against major currencies like the euro or the dollar, it drives up costs across the entire board. And lastly, we can't forget about taxes and levies. The government imposes huge charges on petroleum products. While these help fund public services, they also add to the final price we pay. We can see the cost of Dangote petrol. Isn't just about one company's profit margins. It's the result of a complex interplay of local and global foreign policy factors. So what are the economic implications? Now, let's talk about how all of this affects you and I. The everyday Nigerian, in fact. I don't know about you, but I've been certainly feeling this pinch in my own household budget. The extra money we are spending on fuel means less for other essentials. Transportation costs have gone up, and I've noticed that these ripple effects in the prices have almost gone into every other thing. From the food we buy in the markets to the services we use daily, everything seems to cost more when fuel prices rise. What worries me is the long-term impact on inflation rates. If fuel prices remain high, we could see a sustained increase in the cost of living. This is something that affects all of us, but it hits the poorest in our society the hardest. It is not just individuals feeling the heat. Businesses across Nigeria are now grappling with this higher fuel costs too. I've spoken to some of my friends who run small and medium enterprises, and they are all complaining about the same thing. They say operational costs have gone way too up, and significantly for that matter. In the energy industry itself, we are seeing some interesting developments. What's that? On the one hand, you see that higher prices could do what? They could potentially lead to job losses in sectors that rely heavily on fuel. While on the other hand, it might spur investment in the refining sector, potentially creating new jobs. But it is the impact on small and medium-sized enterprises that really concerns me the most. These businesses are actually the backbone of our economy, and many are struggling to adapt to these higher costs. Some may have to cut jobs or even shut down in total if they can't manage the increasing expenses. So, what can we do about all of this? In the short term, there are few possibilities that I think are worth exploring. First, there is the question of government intervention. While we've moved away from blanket subsidies, targeted temporary measures might help ease the burden on the most vulnerable. I'm also excited about the potential for increased competition in the refining sector. If more players enter into the market, it could help drive prices down. I'm keeping my eye on developments in modular refineries, which could play a major role here. Another area where I see room for improvement is in the distribution and supply chain. Imagine that, for instance, if we make the process of getting fuel from the refinery to the pump more efficient, this could help reduce costs too. The long-term considerations here. Looking further ahead, I actually believe that we need to think seriously about diversifying Nigeria's energy mix. We can't put all our eggs in the same basket of oil, relying solely on it. I'm particularly interested in the potential for renewable energy investments. Solar, wind, and hydroelectric power will actually play a major role in our energy future. Not only will this be for the environment, but it will also provide a buffer against the volatility of oil prices. Ultimately, I think the key to long-term stability lies in reducing our dependency on oil imports. The Dangote refinery is a step in this direction, but we need a comprehensive strategy that looks at all aspects of our energy needs. Now, what are the conclusions now? As we wrap up, let's recap what we've covered. The high cost of Dangote petrol isn't due to any single factor, but rather it's a complex interplay of global oil prices, production costs, and government policies. We've seen how these high prices affect not just our wallets, but our entire economy. From individual consumers to large industries, everyone is feeling the heat. But I don't want to leave you feeling like hopeless. There are potential solutions, both in the short and long term. It's up to the government, private sector, citizens like you and I to push. As soon as I sign off, I want to encourage each and every one of you to think about our energy future. What kind of Nigeria do we really want? What do we want to see in 50 years from today? How can we balance our need of affordable energy with the need for economic and environmental sustainability? These are big questions. But I believe that by understanding the challenges we face today, we are better equipped to find solutions for tomorrow. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of why Dangote's petrol is so costly in Nigeria. Do not forget to subscribe. Do not forget to give us a thumbs up and keep sharing more of our videos